Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to press conference number one of the day. We have Long Beach State here. We have Coach Alan Knight, Mason Briggs, DRS McRaven, and Skylar Varga. And Coach, if we can have an opening statement on the championship.
Yeah, as I said last night, I thought both semis were great, and both teams got pushed and had to dig deep to win in five, both of us, and that's exactly how the tournament should be. So, that's a good thing. I think that at this point in the season, the teams that are going to be left, and this is no different this year, is going to be teams that are well trained and well prepped, and it'll be about flexibility and adjustments throughout the match. Is how we have to go about our business. Having a good plan, that's great, and you have to, and we will. And then making sure that at the same time you can stay flexible. At the same time, you got to stay true to yourself. It'll be a battle of a little bit of will of who can be them and who can be themselves for as long as they possibly can. So look forward to it. I'm just thinking back on last night, I'm incredibly happy for our guys of the grit that they showed to get themselves back into that set and then execute so well down the stretch and put themselves in a situation to get a chance to play for it all tomorrow. And I know they're excited about that. We're excited about it. I'm excited about it. And we really look forward to the opportunity to compete.
Coach Vanellips here from Off the Block. Just two kind of housekeeping questions before we delve in. Any changes in player availability because of injury from last night's match?
No.
All right. And then cool if you no comment, but any changes in the starting lineup that you're expecting for tomorrow? I'm asking both teams.
Yeah, I don't really know at this point. I don't think so. But I don't really know. We'll see how everyone's feeling. At this point, I think the most important thing for us is to be as able and healthy as we possibly can, So there's some options, but we don't plan on being a lot different when it comes to that. There's no games being played by us.
Oh, yeah. And then looking at your team, you've played UCLA twice earlier in the season. What do you feel has been the biggest improvement in your team since you last met?
Wow. Well, I said this earlier in the year, and it was a very unique fall for us in the sense that Nathan was out with a broken bone in his hand, and Skylar was recovering from knee surgery, and Sotis was recovering from a back procedure. So we played all fall without those guys, and in a lot of ways, the first 6 weeks of our traditional season felt like the fall in many ways to us as far as getting used to the group together. So I guess the long answer to your question is I don't know one area in our game that we're not significantly better, just because of the opportunity to play together more. And, think about Sky, for example. Sky comes back from having knee surgery last year, and he finally gets cleared. And instead of putting him in his traditional spot, I make him play the right. So, he had to there was an adjustment to that as well, but it was really good for our team to get him over there on the right. So there was that first 6 to 8 weeks, maybe even longer than that. It was a daily grind of trying to figure out, what we could do and where we could be better and squeeze out a little bit more. But yeah, I think every area of the game we're significantly better.
For the players, last night was kind of crazy. It feels like one of those matches where you would sort of wake up today and then maybe just spend a couple of days like resting and recovering. And here you've got a national championship in 23 hours and 45 minutes. How do you reset, and what was this morning like? I mean, it was such a big moment last night. How did everyone feel today, and what's your individual process for sort of turning the page and thinking about tomorrow?
I'll start. It's not really just the cliche answer, but we have been here before, a lot of us, especially 2 years ago in this semifinal win. And it was also a reverse sweep 2 years ago. And so for me, it's been just making sure we're staying present, coming back to reality, and knowing that we do have another match, and the fact that it's a little earlier on Saturday as well, so there's a little bit less time. So obviously enjoying the moment, trying to get to sleep, when you still have that adrenaline in your body. But
like 10:30 p.m.
yeah, exactly. But knowing that, the job isn't finished and there's more to go, and we can still get better in this short period of time, whether that's on the court, off the court, with our prep, and just as a team. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, to answer the first part of your question, I think a lot to sleep would definitely be the way to process that win. But yeah, I mean, in tournaments like this, as much as you want to celebrate a game like that, your mind always moves on to the next game and the next challenge and the next opponent. So we did take that moment to kind of celebrate, being able to come back from that and being able to fight our way back into that game. But I think a lot of us, our minds instantly shifted to, okay, like we got to start thinking about and prepping for who's next, and start getting our minds right and our bodies healthy enough to be able to rise up to that next challenge and hopefully play the best night of our lives on Saturday.
And yeah, obviously there's a lot of like reminiscing on last night, this morning at breakfast, people talking about it. But we noticed that, also realized that like we got bigger things ahead of us, and the coaches treat us like professional volleyball players. And I think being a pro volleyball player also means you have to be a pro at recovering, right? So I think that's just like a huge thing that we need to focus on, especially like last night. I mean, it's hard, again, with that 10:30 bedtime, whatever you want to say. But yeah, just using today as good as we can to recover our bodies and be ready to go for tomorrow.
Skylar, can you describe what Munster is like?
There's about 5 streets, no stoplights. Actually, last week I was having a talk with one of our teammates, and I think there's like 9 total shops on a railroad street. Yeah, there's not much to it. But,
Were there enough people to play volleyball?
Almost. Enough people to form a high school team, and then my club team was just like, people who from around that area who joined. You kind of had to like ask people to play volleyball, and anyone who any sport in that area needed everybody from each sport to join your team in order to play. So it's a pretty different experience, I guess, than some places out here. So
What was considered a trip to the big city? Would that be like Medicine Hat, Saskatoon? I mean,
yeah, Saskatoon is definitely the big city. Med Hat, that's pretty far from home. I'd say like 9-hour drive. So yeah, Saskatoon was only an hour and a half, but that's the big city where all kind of the volleyball is in Saskatchewan.
then last question from that area, any other prominent volleyball players that come out of there? I mean, I was thinking like Cam Schalk from Red Deer,
Gavin Schmidt.
but anybody else?
Yeah, Gavin Schmidt, the Canadian Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
He's from Saskatoon. Yeah, my brothers. Yeah. My sister too. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say just the big one is Gavin Schmidt out of Saskatoon. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Talking with the LA Times, Mason was just saying, like, he's been here. Dierys and Skylar, you guys haven't been here specifically in the NCAA tournament. What have you guys just kind of taken from this experience? What stands out to you most about what makes this opportunity unique, and what you're kind of taking into the national championship tomorrow? Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like the stakes are higher, so I think there's a lot more attention to detail that has to be made. But I don't know about a lot of the other guys, but I kind of treat it like, any other game or, any other practice that we have. I just try to play, the same way I have been. Try not to do, too much or anything I haven't been working on. But yeah, I feel like if I try to think about it too much, or if I put too much emphasis on how big it is, I think it'll overwhelm me too much to where I'm not playing how I should be. So I kind of try to minimize it as much as I can, and really just rely on my team and my coaches, and especially with the fans here, they definitely help. So yeah, I try to just play the same way I have been for as long as I have.
Yeah. Obviously, I've never been in a national NCAA tournament before, but I have played in big games, and this tournament, I've really been trying to like focus on like thinking back to like as a kid, I dreamt of being in like these big moments and like showing a lot of gratitude no matter like what it is. So like stressful environments, like just immediately gratitude like in my brain, whatever, to try and get out of that. And I've really noticed that's helped. So I'm trying to harness that for tomorrow as well. And then taking away I guess from yesterday's game, like we have the greatest fans in the country, and you could feel that in our third set yesterday. Like there's like 5 times where I just felt chills from like just the entire crowd, and that was an unbelievable experience. So yeah, I'm just super excited to see the crowd tomorrow.
Coach, I want to ask you about Darius because we didn't see him too much, and you have so much depth on this team. You know, you didn't see him too much in the first half of the season. Second half, he's really come on. What was it about kind of Darius's play that had you insert him in the starting lineup, and how he continues to get playing time?
Yeah, well, there's no magic to that in our program. You do it long enough in practice, you get an opportunity, and you know he was doing it not only when he got his chances with the first side, but he was doing it on the second side where it was a nightmare for the first side, and that's a good way to get over to the first side. But no, I think I remember talking to Darius a few times when we hadn't made the change, and he knew he was really playing well, and I knew there would be an opportunity at some point. I didn't know when and how, but there would be an opportunity. We're going to need that athleticism. We're going to need that ability to get up and get on the ball. And everyone watches Darius play, and they're pretty enamored, about his jumping ability. But his quickness along the net and his ability to get across the net and block the ball is a big deal too. So it's not just an offensive machine. It's both sides of the game for us. And he got out there and got his chance, and he grabbed it and didn't want to come back out and didn't want to go back on the other side. And that's how it works in our program.
Mason Schuyler was just mentioning the crowd. It seemed like you were one of the key guys in getting the crowd going yesterday. How does the relationship between your fans make this team stronger in key moments?
Yeah, I think it's everything. We were going those first 2 sets, not to mention that, they were due sets, super close right there. But I was telling the guys here and there, like, we have the home crowd, like, let's continue to use that. It kind of came a point in the third set for me where it kind of clicked in my head. Like I had already told the guys that, like, I felt like I needed to tell the crowd that a little bit. So that's where I just tried to turn to them. We try to keep it within our team and bring the energy back into our team, but I just felt like we needed a little bit more, and we could get this place rocking. So I was just, waving my hands, making eye contact with some of them. It's pretty cool. And, even looking like Skylar's family, like my family, and our little groups there in the amazing student section. And it means everything. He said he got the chills 5 times. He's probably lying to you. Had to have been like 20 times. And it was just crazy, just standing there, getting the chills. At one point, hearing nothing but just noise is awesome.
2-part question on the fans. First for Mason, following you a little bit on social media, see post-match, after team huddles and everything. You do spend a lot of time taking selfies with fans, being with them. How important is that for you to make connections with fans and everything so they're invested in the team?
I think it's important for the sport. I think it's important for our program, not just me. I try to think about it just as a whole. There's people, and you see it with other guys, they want pictures with them. You got to somewhat make yourself available if you're willing to draw these people in more and more. And it goes back to a little bit of what Sky mentioned earlier, just the gratitude. And throughout my entire career, I've felt more and more of that. And that's actually similar of how I approach like big matches and just the season when it comes to that moment. If you feel like nervousness or anything, is just the gratitude. And I really feel it afterwards. And it'd be hard to not feel that here with Long Beach and the amazing fans and just the community that the players before us have even been able to build, and just try and keep that going.
And then, Coach, just to ask you, I was looking up this stat earlier today. In the last 9 years, you've tripled your home average attendance in matches. And I'm sure there's a lot of men's volleyball coaches out there watching the match yesterday. They're like, man, I want that in my gym. What would be your message to those people on making that this Long Beach State example a possibility throughout the country?
We could talk about that for a long time, but I think the quick answer would be that everything matters, not just the volleyball. Everything matters. At different times, different things are more important. Volleyball has to trump it a lot of times, but you have to bring everyone along with you. You have to hopefully interact with the people within your athletic department and in the community and on the campus, and be a partner with them to hopefully that they want to be part of your program. They want to help you. They want to bring it along, because we don't have unlimited budgets. We can't just pay people like a lot of BCS sports can. And hopefully you can lead by example as the head coach, that you're willing to put time into things at different times of the year that people might see as not the head coach would be involved in that, and do that over a long period of time, and then get some really good people around you, like your staff and people that donors and boosters who are connected to the program. And sometimes a little extra effort has to go into that, and that's okay. And then the other one is have some really good administrators over the years who believe in your mission, who understand what you're trying to do. It's a shared vision. I've had some administrators, both at the head athletic director level and also assistant athletic director level, who could tell you what the men's volleyball vision is, what their core values are, who we're recruiting, who we want to recruit, because they're that in tune with our program. And that took a long time to build. So I guess the answer is everything matters, everything.
Two questions from Mason. First, recollections and thoughts about the previous UCLA matches.
This season, I think it was a good series for us. It was a while ago at this point, so I think you could say a lot of things have changed. But in our gym, we talk about consistency and our response night to night, and I think it was one of those matches again that propelled us into the rest of the season, to be able to continue to work on things, maybe expose some things, have some things in our back pocket, but ultimately rely on the consistency and what we know we can do and put together as a team, and like with our staff and everyone included.
The other is about your social media presence. A few years ago, could you have imagined that it would be what it is? And how much time and energy do you have to devote to keep it up? I mean, I would think it would be kind of cumbersome sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good question. No, I never really imagined it. And a few years ago, I guess it was then a few years ago, that I would speak on this of like, even in high school, I actually wasn't really big into Instagram. I'd never really understood why you would post something. Obviously, it's a little bit different now. And that really started from when I went on international trips. Kind of just became a way to keep in touch with my family and people that cared about what was going on or who was watching. And then from there, I mean, shout out to, we've had some amazing people here at Long Beach that you could include of, who Coach Knipe's talking about and propelling the sport on the media side, that have provided great photo, video, and all of that. So being able to use that, and a huge thank you to them to just continue to post and try and be active. Kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier of it might be tough at times, but I think it's cool to be able to provide that for the people that want to watch this sport, that want to be a fan of certain people in this sport or certain teams in this sport, and that's huge. We grow up, we have that with the Dodgers here, or you could relate it to any sport. And I think men's volleyball is definitely on the rise. And the more we continue to have, team faces and team connections and then individual connections, I think brings up the sport as a whole. And to answer the last part of your question, it honestly kind of becomes a little routine to where I feel like I don't have to think about it too much. I don't let it get in the way. Sometimes I have some people help me with some things that, take that load off of. It's not like you can't do that and not be focused on a match or a weekend as well. So it's just part of it.
We'll finish up with Mike with this session.
Okay. two-part question to two different people that actually aren't related. But Skylar, you play with so much. It just looks like you're having so much fun when you're playing. You play with a lot of joy. Is that how sports have always been for you? Is that a sort of a small town kid coming here and trying to find a way to fit in, or where does that playing style come from you?
It's not always been that way. Definitely in high school, like coming from a small town, and it's hard to play sometimes with like a little bit lower volleyball. You just don't have that much popularity to it. People don't know it, so it wasn't always like that. And I noticed that for myself, I don't play good when I'm angry. So it's just it's a sport. It's still a game, right? So there's no point in being frustrated. Like, I try to keep my composure while I'm playing. I try to have fun, and we talked about it a lot last night. Like, why panic? Like just let's just have some fun. Let's go out there. We play best when we have fun. So, I mean, that's kind of like the motto for me. So.
Second part to the question, Mason, you mentioned sort of looking up into the crowd and seeing different families. I heard from several Long Beach State fans yesterday that your family should probably be like getting a cheerleading scholarship or something, that they were very active in getting the crowd going. Did you see any of that or interact with any of that as you're sort of looking up into the crowd? Did you see, kind of what they were doing?
That's funny. They usually always sit in that section actually in the home games, and it's very natural to just turn that way or even behind our bench, regardless of some UCLA colors behind our bench last night. But yeah, I mean, I know they'll bring the energy. They have been. But I was just turning to everyone. I felt like at one point I was even going like section by section. And for me, it wasn't a distraction. It was really just like whatever it takes. I mean, we always talk about that. Like it's going to take everything. And to me in that moment, I think that could give us a little bit of boost. And I mean, shout out to like Nate that got that block that one point, and a couple good passes and sets and kills, blocks, whatever, and some serving runs. But it gave us that ability to, we executed, which gave us the ability to bring that energy with our own guys, but also the entire pyramid. And I don't know, maybe they'll get a scholarship one day.
Okay, thank you very much for this session. UCLA coming up.